Welcome, guys, to the Coin Vigilante podcast. Today, we have a special guest, Rebecca White. So I ran across her in Twitter, and she has a pretty good following. She is very passionate about Litecoin, and I wanted to, just bring her in so we can talk a little bit about Litecoin, crypto, just have a fun, relaxed conversation. But without further ado, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me. I think we've been talking for a while on Twitter back and forth, and I enjoy watching you put up your technical analysis, and I'm learning a lot from you. So it's very cool. And thank you again for having me. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should be. So yeah, I've been posting a few charts here and there, and I've been getting better at it. I'm not an expert by all means, but I do have a pretty good understanding about charting and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty passionate about cryptos, and I've been doing it for a while. So but yeah, so for the audience, a lot of people that are listening and will watch this video and the podcast, they know who you are, especially the Litecoin fam. But, for those that don't, right, which I have many people that are listening that have no idea who I'm following on Twitter and all that, can you give us just a quick background of, what you do? Why are you so passionate about crypto and particularly Litecoin?
Okay, sure. So what I do in my paid life is I buy equipment for nuclear power plants. I've been a buyer, a purchasing agent for a lot of utilities, but now I work for a big nuclear company. So that's what I do with my daytime. I'm actually off today, which is nice. For fun, I definitely am a huge crypto fan. I was introduced to Bitcoin by my son in 2015. He wrote his master's thesis on cryptocurrency Bitcoin. And so the first year he came home for Christmas, and we sat down at the computer, and he sent me some Bitcoin in a paper wallet. And it's just kind of been a big rabbit hole since then. Got very interested in Litecoin. It's really weird because it's just one of those things, like on Coinbase, believe it or not, there was only a couple things you could buy at one point. So I had bought some Bitcoin, and then I started to look into Litecoin, and I just thought it was kind of interesting that Charlie Lee was like a real person. We don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. So I just kind of started to follow him and get into crypto Twitter, and sort of found this following and fans of Litecoin, and really found that the use case for it, like, I mean, even way back when, I just was like, I'm never going to spend my Bitcoin, or I'm going to hold on to this because who knows how much it will be worth. And but Litecoin to me was something that moved fast, and you could spend it, and it wasn't that expensive. And so yeah, I just kind of like went down that path, and got into way too many other coins, and I've scaled way back back to the top 3 for me. But yeah, so yeah, it's been a great journey. I've learned a lot, and I've met a lot of great people.
Yeah, I can attest to that because, well, number one, it's funny because my mom was the one who introduced me to Bitcoin and crypto. So it's the other way around. Yeah, she walked up to me, and she contacted me, and she was like, hey, you got to look at this right now. I mean, the fact that you can just send money to someone else, it's not a stock, right? It's digital. It just kind of like blew my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, this is like a big deal. But yeah, I mean, I've also scaled out of a few, what they call shit coins and all that. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just, at that point, you're kind of gambling. And then the fundamentals, I mean, you really got to dig deep to find why they're strong fundamentally. Like, for example, Litecoin, Bitcoin, and maybe if you like Ethereum, I mean, exactly what they're doing, who they were built, by, and, what their purpose is and why they're strong fundamentally. And that's one of the big reasons why like Litecoin is number one. The Litecoin community is insane. I mean, literally, I make a video, people are all over it. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. So it's pretty cool. And then just the fact that it's decentralized. I mean, that was my biggest driver for me. I want something that does not need central authority to be controlling, overseeing, printing trillions here and there, devaluing your purchasing power, right? So that was my big, drive to want to join Litecoin and Bitcoin. And I just like Charlie Lee. I like his goal of what he's doing. And you know what the funny thing is that when we reach the previous all-time high of $400 or 370 or whatever,
Right.
we did it without having to have Charlie Lee hold any Litecoin,
Right.
right? And that's gonna be a big blow in everyone's faces. Every Litecoin disbeliever. Oh no, I mean you need Charlie Lee. Charlie Lee left your bags. He completely left the project. No, he didn't. And we're gonna reach all-time high without even needing him. And that's the beauty of Litecoin, that it is completely decentralized. We don't need a Satoshi Nakamoto holding God knows how many Bitcoin he's holding to be able to make it, right? And
Right.
so
And I think that people get confused. There is a Litecoin Foundation, but that is not the, board of Litecoin. They have their own specific goals. And adoption is one of them. And, I respect a lot of the people. I met many people at the Litecoin Summit in 2019 that are from the foundation. And I'm actually on their committee to plan the next summit, which I'm very excited about. So, that had to
awesome.
be bumped to hopefully this fall we'll be able to do it. Not sure yet. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of very passionate people and they give a lot of time, their own, they're not paid to do it. They do it because they're very excited about the project. And the amount of, crap that people throw at people that are volunteering, it's just mind boggling. And they don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't even know everything. I'm part of that group, but there's so many people around the world that participate and they're not all on Twitter. These are people that are
True.
very passionate about it. And I'm sure there'll be somebody that figures out, say, oh, well, all-time high, Charlie still, sold his bags or whatever. But, those people, I just kind of tuned them out a long time ago. I don't know what they're bitter about. You had the same opportunity to sell, so you could have done that as well. I mean, he's not the boss of Litecoin. He's an individual person and he's decentralized. And I love that. I think that he did a great thing, actually.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best traders in the whole market.
Wish I would have followed his.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. And then, but the thing is he didn't even sell the actual top. If you actually look at his transactions, I mean, he kind of averaged them in. So, it's a lot of misinformation to say, oh, he sold like the exact top. I mean, hey, kudos to him, but
Right.
made some decent money. But that money that he sold too, he's also putting into the Litecoin Foundation.
Oh
So
yeah,
that is
for sure. And that's
also
another, people
go
don't
ahead.
realize how many things are funded by the community. I mean, with David Burkett and MWEB, that's, Charlie's matching the donations, but that's all us. That's all of the Litecoin family that donates so that he could write the code for this. And it's coming to fruition and I'm very excited about it. It's I can't wait until it's ready to be audited and up and running. Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm so bullish on that. It's gonna be a good thing for Litecoin. So, I did have a meeting with Al. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
He's a pretty cool guy on Twitter who actually just wrote an article, really good article for the Litecoin Foundation about Mimblewimble. So if you can get to read it, anyone that's listening right now, just go to the Litecoin Foundation. I'm sure you'll find the article somewhere. He explains a little bit about Mimblewimble. Now, I talked to him a bit, about that. And I asked him, hey, can you explain this, in simple terms? I would like to get your idea, just even in the simplest terms, nothing complicated, nothing like, crazy. What is Mimblewimble? Why is it good for Litecoin?
So, I guess, well, first of all, it started off as Mimblewimble. So I think that what we're calling it
Or
now
MWEB.
MWEB, which is the extension block. So I think that Mimblewimble obviously is from Harry Potter and kind of funny, but I think, in reality, what I understand this to be is there'll be a parallel path and you can choose to stay in the one lane that we're in now and you can have your transactions located on in the ledger. But the other choice with MWEB will be that if you want it to be private, so say you sold your home and you don't want people to know how much that was or something like that, then you have the opportunity to opt in to the MWEB side of it. I mean, technically, I have absolutely no concept how that works. But I think it's pretty much as simple as that. And and that's the other thing. I know that they talked to the foundation talked to all of the exchanges that were listed on, or potential. I don't know. We're on everything, right? I don't even know if we're not on an exchange.
Right.
But, that having that where it's not solely private gives everyone comfort that they can continue to keep the Litecoin on the exchanges, because it's not necessarily a privacy coin.
Yeah, I
So
mean, because we saw some privacy coins actually get delisted, right? Like Monero and Dash, I think, or something like that.
right.
Okay.
And that's why I think there was a lot of discussion before going down this path, to make sure that it was understood that it's not a privacy coin, but you can opt in if you want to for, your own personal reasons. And it's not necessarily nefarious. It's just because you
Right.
don't want people to be able to trace what you're buying, or or selling. I don't know. I think that it's a great thing, and it is even more decentralized, and
Right.
I think that's really awesome.
So let me get this right. So I'm not an expert in MWEB by any means. That's why I'm asking these
Yeah.
questions, right? So essentially what's happening is you'll still be able to see the transaction in the blockchain. However, like you're gonna know it's gonna go from A to B, but you just won't know what the value of that transaction was, correct?
That's what I believe. Now, I read Al's article. He does a very, very good job of explaining this. So it's what's these LITE underscore house, or
Yeah.
I can't remember what his Twitter name is, but he
I'll
does
find
a
it.
great job explaining it, way better than anything that just came out of my mouth.
Or mine.
Yeah, read the article. It's very, very good.
Yeah, it's light under what's that line called? I don't even know.
Underscore.
Underscore
Yeah.
house. HAUSE. So follow him, guys. He's a pretty good guy.
Yeah. It's just a fabulous article. I was really impressed with how he laid it out. Very helpful for people that are laymen like us.
Yeah, I know. That's that exactly. And that's how I kind of refer to myself. Look, I'm not the big expert with coding. I'm not the big expert with, looking at the, roots and,
Yeah.
none of that, right? I am just a layman who happens to understand Bitcoin and Litecoin. And, I wanted to ask you a little bit, but first, I'll just start with myself. Part of the reason why I'm passionate with all this is that we are currently living in a monetary system that does not respect our purchasing power, right? We have been seeing over, a few decades how, fiscally and, from the fiscal and monetary perspective, they don't care. They keep printing trillions and trillions of dollars, devaluing our cash, right? So all our 9 to 5 hours, right, that we work so hard to, for all our cash that's sitting in our bank account just gets devalued because we are seeing the inflation happening. And maybe we're not seeing inflation in average things we buy, regular things we buy, although we do see it, but we see it in assets particularly, right? And we have been seeing it in, this year alone, right? I talked to John Moore about this, and, if you look at stocks, they're going basically highest level we have ever seen in the history of humankind in one of the worst economic crises that we have seen. So basically what the government did and Federal Reserve did was pump and save the stock market at the expense of the purchasing power of the American people. And I talked to John and I told him, you realize the top 10% own 50% of all assets, and the bottom 50% only hold 2% of all assets. If anything, if the government and the Fed really cared about us, they would worry about not printing trillions of dollars and trying to maintain our purchasing power. But no, on the other hand, they devalue it completely, our fiat currency, and then pump anything they can, right, to save basically Wall Street over Main Street. So that's basically why I choose to opt out of that system, exit the rigged financial system we live in, and going into this new system, which is Bitcoin and Litecoin. Now, why am I saying Bitcoin and Litecoin? Okay, there are a lot of decentralized finance apps, or a lot of little things here and there that you could buy too, but you got to look into this. Many of them are not scarce, right? They can they can keep pumping, more into the supply of whatever coin. I know that Bitcoin and Litecoin have the following characteristics, right? They are scarce. Litecoin has 84 million. Bitcoin has 21 million, right? Ever, right? So you can rest assured that nothing will be printed into the system devaluing the purchasing power of those. Now, on top of that, they're decentralized, right? It isn't a public ledger. Now, 2 or 3, I don't know where I'm at. They're transparent, right? You have no central authority overseeing your transactions or saying, hey, you can't send my money from point A to point B, or we're going to charge you a $50 fee for withdrawing a certain amount. That's ridiculous as it is, right? And so, the list goes on and on about why Bitcoin and Litecoin are the way to opt out of the current financial system that doesn't respect you. And so that is my way of thinking about it. I mean, for you, do you see a problem currently with a current financial system that, might be driving more adoption into cryptos like Bitcoin and Litecoin?
Well, yeah, I from just living through I started my corporate career, if you will, a long time ago. and this was like during the whole Enron era when this huge scandal hit, and I had just started to put money into a 401k and a pension, and I had all these things, and I was really young and I didn't quite understand what was happening. So then I had my son, and I started putting money away for him for school. So, I basically, any extra money I'm dumping into, this fund. And in 2008, we all know what happened. And I could have put that money under my mattress and had more at the end of the day than what happened. We lost half of his college fund. And I lost my marbles. I was just like, this is unbelievable. We had to take out loans, and it's just like, I got so pissed off. So whenever I was introduced to this form of money, this new form of money, and no one can, manipulate it. And instead of, all the college funds being made whole, we made the airlines whole, just like we did again, this time around. So it's infuriating to me, to be honest. And that's why I think when I started to really understand what this kind of money could do, and how every person has, even though it might be difficult right now or very confusing, everybody has the ability to really be in charge of their own money. And if I want to send my son more than $10,000, hand it to him. I don't want somebody telling me I have to prove where I got that $10,000. When I bought my first house, my parents gave me some money, and you could only have so much of that money because it had to be in the bank, and I forget what they called it, but it had to have some sort of pedigree. So they knew that my parents didn't, launder the money. It's like so stupid. And why are the banks in charge of this? Why do you have to give the banks the authority to be the police? It's just so asinine. So as I get older, and now, like you mentioned, and I still have a 401k, it's doing better than ever. And I'm scared to pieces to see what happens to it when the bubble bursts. But I'm out of that. I have it because I have it in there, but I don't need my 401k as much as I need Bitcoin. It's going to be a better life for me. I hope I can retire a little bit earlier. There's certain things that I'm very excited. Yeah, I do want to make some money on it. The technology is fantastic, but it would be nice to not work until I'm almost dead.
Right.
And have some time to enjoy. And, when my son and his wife start a family, I'd like to be there a lot, not being sitting in my office. So,
right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Basically, yeah, like you said, why are banks having so much control of our money? And basically why, what we're seeing is we're seeing the monopoly of money, which is controlled by the central banks and private banks now. It is being decentralized with money now, right? And that's what's happening with Bitcoin and Litecoin. And look, the funny thing is, for the past 2, 3 years, I've been telling everyone, buy Bitcoin, buy Litecoin, get in now, do it. You have to do it, right? So,
Right.
you and I, we've been in this game for too long, and we're basically the OGs of Bitcoin and Litecoin, and so we kind of understand what the heck's going on. But now all of a sudden, it only took Elon Musk and Tesla to convince every single person I've been talking to buy Bitcoin.
Right.
Like, okay, great. So now you get to buy Bitcoin at an expensive price, which actually I think is still pretty cheap, right? Anytime that you buy Bitcoin, I think it's a great opportunity.
Right.
But, we're not the only ones that realize this now. We are seeing huge institutions and huge corporations. And I think the Tesla news is so huge because Elon Musk, number one, is I think the richest man in the entire world.
Yes.
And he's not stupid. He's pretty smart. Now he does all this Doge and crazy things, but whatever. But I think this is going to start a domino effect for other corporations to want to do it. And even as a marketing tactic too, because the moment a company discloses that, it seems like their stock's going up, right? And so it's almost as if everyone's trying to catch up and not be the last one to get into Bitcoin. Now, what do you think about those news? I mean, I think that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge as well. I don't know how it sits sometimes when I think about it, like these big, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategies and now Tesla and all the rumors of all the other companies, Apple, whomever. It's a very big and exciting and it almost, I guess it makes it more legitimate for people, but that's not who it was built for, if you will, So I kind of have that devil and angel conversation, like, is it good or is it not good? Good because people they know more about it. Of course, I'm getting text messages from tons of people like, hey, tell me about that Bitcoin. It's like,
I know.
I
Now
have
you
been telling you. And we have a meetup. We talk about it all the time. I'm just like, all right, I can't explain it to you in a text, but give me a call and we can chat. But yeah, I mean, I still have this hope that it gets in the people's hands and not sits on people's, books. Like, I mean, it's going to happen. It has happened, but people need to have it. It's a life-changing technology. And whether it's $10 worth or $10 million worth, it's worth having a little bit. Everybody should have some. I think we need to remember everyone, the unbanked, the people that really, really need it. I don't know how we get it in their hands at this point, but there should be a lot of charities and good things that come out of having the power to have this type of currency. And so, yeah, I haven't resolved it in my head yet. It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, right? I mean, corporations now and institutions are getting their hands on Bitcoin, right? And we're seeing that supply and demand thing that's going on, right? So much demand for this. And, interestingly enough, I think we're seeing more institutional demand than we are seeing retail demand. I feel like now people are starting to get on board with, on Coinbase and all that. I don't know. I mean, do you have a preferred exchange where you buy this? I mean, I do Coinbase, and that's what I tell people, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, Coinbase is it was easy. That's how I got, bought a lot. In fact, it's funny when I go back to 2015 and, you see what I purchased. It used to be like 15 cents to buy $100 worth or something, like their fees are outrageous now. So I have to say, I don't buy as much as I used to. I kind of had a goal. I met that goal.
You're
I
locked
use
in.
Ollie. I use Fold. I use all these vehicles that pay me back in Bitcoin, rather than my airline miles, because who's going anywhere right now?
Yeah, sure.
But I'd rather have the Bitcoin. And I also, if I do dabble in it a little bit, I like Gemini. I think that that's a good exchange. And but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with what I have. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I don't know.
No,
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm very curious about Coinbase going public as well. You know, I saw that, is it Brian Armstrong? I think
yep,
is
right.
Yeah, that they want to do an ICO. You know, again, it's like muddying the waters. I don't know how I feel about that either. So it's interesting after being in the space for like 5 years and seeing what's going on. I mean, it has a life of its own. So things can happen and we just have to adapt to them. But
yeah, and it's just kind of hard to also like take it all in now, because before we used to hear all these predictions. Oh, I mean, I think it was just 2 years ago, a year ago. I mean, you know, Pomp was talking about this. Anthony Pompliano in his podcast, he was like, we're going to see this demand happening in institutions. People are going to get in. This is going to happen. Okay. We're like, okay, yeah, you know, we believe that. Then all of a sudden it hits you and you're like, wow, it's actually happening.
right.
And it's just kind of hard to take in. And the fact that we're seeing the whole infrastructure getting built, even though we knew or had this belief that it was going to happen, it really is happening, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I do not recommend sitting on the sidelines. And even especially now that we're entering a new cycle, you know, and just as a reference point, I don't know who brought this up, maybe John, I don't know, but, you know, or maybe I did, but the dot-com bubble, you know, we reached a market cap overall of all these, you know, companies of about $14 trillion. That's the dot-com bubble. That's 20 years ago. When there was less money in the system. I mean, companies were just, as long as you put .com, you're already listed and you already have $100 million market cap in your company, right? So we're going to see a similar move like that happening with crypto now, where right now we're only sitting at about $1 trillion market cap, right? And so it's still early, in my opinion, to, you know, lock in some of your positions, particularly Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum. You know, there's going to be always a few small gems here and there, right? That are very small market cap. And I think right now it's early. You know, people ask me, when should we get in? Well, why don't you first of all, don't pull your entire check-ins account and blow it into one buy. Average your way in, scale out, expose yourself, try to understand how to, you know, a lot of people are like buying on Robinhood. I don't think you can take your Litecoin out of Robinhood. So I'm like, don't buy on Robinhood, get a Coinbase wallet. And then what you do, buy your Litecoin there, then get the Lite wallet on your phone, super simple, and you pull it out of Coinbase and Lite wallet. And that is one of the coolest things to do, because they're like, whoa, this is not stocks. I can actually pull it. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's not stocks. It's digital.
You know, it's so funny because I have a coworker who you know, everybody I work with, I was the crazy Bitcoin person. And so I, you know, I have my lanyard and whatever, my coffee mug. And now we're all working from home. So I get this IM and, hey, do you think this is a good time? Should I buy some Bitcoin? And I said, this was last week. And this is a two-pronged, something just popped in my head. So I said, just, you know, get some. And I said, tell me you're not buying it on Robinhood. He's like, no, PayPal or whatever. I'm just like, oh, you know, you're driving me insane. So anyway, I was like, just buy it. And he's like, I might wait a little bit longer. Well, after this week, you know, I'm like, I thought it might go down a little bit. And then all of a sudden it just like went pow, it exploded, right? So I was like, well, you shouldn't have waited. You should have just bought your $10 worth or whatever. Yeah. So then I put money in E-Trade a couple years ago. I was messing around with like pot stocks and shit like that. Yeah. And it was just decimated. And it wasn't a lot of money, but I was just like, I wonder if there's anything in there. So I go and I see it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm up. Like I actually made money on this. And I went to withdraw it. And I'm like, it says I don't have any money to withdraw, but I can see that I have money. So I am the guy that is texting me. And I go, why don't I have any money? Why can't I withdraw it? He's like, you have to sell it. I'm like, oh God, fucking stocks, you know, pardon me.
I know. We're so used to being able to withdraw it out of an exchange.
I just can't move it wherever I want.
I know.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm an idiot. Yep, I forgot I actually have to sell it.
So, hey, they're laughing at us too, just like we're laughing at them.
Yeah. Oh man, am I stupid? But yeah, I have, like I said, I have my 401k. I have picked what I want. It's all set it and forget it. I never really played in the stock market before. So I actually just left it there. I thought I'll come back in another couple of years. Maybe it'll be worth more.
I think they'll be worth more now that, yeah, I think having a Biden presidency now and administration, I think that probably is a bullish sign for pot stocks and all that stuff. So we'll see where that goes. But all right, Rebecca. Anyway, I think the conversation was really good. Thank you for coming. We do have a 1 o'clock meeting on Clubhouse with Charlie Lee Q&A. So we're gonna take a little break before then. Thank you for coming on the show. I hope we do this again.
Thank you so much. Yeah, take care. See you on Twitter.
All right.